Hello, today I'm going to talk about employment because it is a massive problem for people like us. Um, if you're watching this, you probably know that already, that's why you're watching it. Um, but yeah, I mean, only 60% of autistic adults are in full time employment, and 77% of autistic adults want to work. So I was wondering the other day, like, why that is, because we're obviously not lazy people, generally speaking, anyway. And yeah, I mean, it just seems to be very disproportionate and very imbalanced because compared to people in other disability categories, probably physical disabilities, 47% of those are working full time. So why is there such a big jump, you know? Um, so yeah, I mean, Asperger's is a disability that people find difficult to understand because you can't see it, it's a hidden disability. And so I do understand why there is such a misunderstanding and a kind of ignorance, even though I think a lot of the time it's probably not ignorance, it's just the fact that people can't see it and yet they don't really know how to uh, support somebody with Asperger's in the workplace. So the first hurdle is the interview. Now, I'm usually quite good at interviews because I know that I've got to be like, I don't know, I've got to lay the neurotypical vibes on thick because that's what gets me the job. And that's fine because like usually I can do it and I can talk to people because I know that it's only going to be for about half an hour and then I'm going to probably be able to go home and recoup. But that's a bit sad really because I was thinking the other day how much interviews and well everything in employment really revolves around social shit. It's true if you think about it, like you have to shake people's hand and small talk and flower things up, and we by nature, Aspies in general anyway, are not the type of people that naturally can do those things like small talk and personal contact and eye contact, and all of those things are all things that happen in interviews at the first stages of you getting a job. So if you struggle with things like that, then it's shit. And I can remember when I used to struggle with interviews and stuff, and I still get really nervous. Like I don't just walk in there and be like, yeah, I'm going to get the job. But I can do it if I really push myself to do it. But yeah, I mean, I think particularly in the first stages, if you let the potential employer know that you've got Asperger's and what you struggle with, or it depends how you feel about telling them straight up. Now I don't really mind telling people straight up because I would rather them know. And even though a lot of people still don't understand, it's out there and you can try and explain it to them and you can try and educate them, which benefits everybody really. But yeah, some people aren't that confident in telling people that they've got Asperger's when they don't really know somebody, which is fine as well. Employers need to look past these superficial things like, not being able to, or not being very good at picking up on social cues, when to join in a conversation, when to end a conversation, when to shake somebody's hand, when it's time to leave the interview. Sometimes I've thought it's the end of the interview and then got my bag ready and everything, and then it's still happening. The interview is still like carrying on, and I've been like, oh my god, I've just tried to exit. Like, they're not going to give me the job, because I thought that it was the end of the interview by the tone of voice and stuff, and you know, obviously I completely misjudged that, which was quite embarrassing. Well, there's loads of embarrassing stuff that's happened to me in employment. In interview stage, it is quite important that things like that don't happen, but some of the time you can't really help it, can you, because you're wired up like that. Yeah, like people should, by people I mean employers, sorry, should look past all that and look at your actual your skills and your qualities and your experience and your interests and what you bring to the table. Because, you know, in a lot of jobs, unless it's like field sales and stuff like that, like you don't necessarily have to be a people person. You know, there's a lot of jobs that you can do that don't revolve around being a people person, but still, for some reason, you still have to be a people person. It doesn't make sense. So the second thing is, after you get the job, if you get the job, maintaining friendships, building and maintaining professional friendships and relationships. And the difficulty doesn't only come from the autistic person. You know, there's this big misconception that all the misunderstanding and, you know, not being able to read people and stuff, it's all the autistic person. It's not, because we've just established there that it's hard for non-autistic people to understand autistic people. So they make assumptions, they make judgments, you know, sometimes they can get impatient with you, and, you know, it's not necessarily their fault. You know, a lot of people just don't understand, but that's where the raising awareness and educating people thing comes into practice. Because if we had more awareness and more education, then, you know, more employers would start to understand a bit better, and it would just be so much easier. So yeah, like they may get left out of social events and team nights out and stuff like that, which has happened to me. And I mean, I don't really like going out, especially with work and stuff and people that I don't have anything in common with. You know, I don't really like going to like trendy bars and stuff like that. If I do go out, I like going to dirty little rock pubs. So, you know, I do kind of feel sometimes like I have to do things like that. Not in my current job, but in the past, like when I worked in offices and stuff, bloody hell, it was a nightmare. So yeah, like, and if you say, well, you know, I don't want to go or whatever, initially they'll just probably start excluding you. And then it makes things harder at work because, you know, everybody went out the other night, that's what everybody's talking about, but you weren't there, and it just gets into this really difficult thing of, but then you're like, well, why should I do something I don't want to do? Like, if I don't want to go out with work or whatever, then I shouldn't have to, that's my choice. But neurotypical people don't tend to see it like that. So another problem in the workplace is lack of positive criticism, or positive feedback, should I say. So this is important because a lot of the time when managers or employers or whoever tells the autistic person to do stuff all the time, and, you know, you can't really read whether they're mad at you for not doing it or if they're just asking you to do it. But people with Asperger's need more reinforcement that they are doing a good job, as well as you're not doing that, you could do that better, just do that again, you know, because too much negative criticism can really damage your self-confidence, because it's hard to gauge whether you're doing the right thing or not, when all you're getting back is you haven't done that yet, or stuff like that. So management and employment and employers and that need to be more wary of that, so that we know what we're doing well, as well as we know what we're doing wrong or what we could do better at. Also, the lack of understanding of vague phrases like when are you going to do your training and stuff like that should be just straight up like, I want you to do your online training today, please. Just slightly changing phrases like that can make a huge difference, because asking somebody when they're going to do something, the autistic person will probably, literal thinking and everything, they'll probably be going, I don't know, next week. Not knowing that the person that they're speaking to wants them to do it today. Because a lot of neurotypical people say stuff like that, and you're like, what do you mean? Do you want me to do it now, or are you actually asking me literally when I'm going to do it? Who can say? Another thing is when employers expect autistic people to go at the same pace and work with the same methods as a non-autistic employee. This is obviously not going to work. I mean, come on. Especially if the autistic person's got ADHD or ADD or something as well, which, a lot of Aspies have, which affects concentration. And I mean, Aspergers affects concentration anyway. So, you're not going to be able to do things in the exact same time, at the exact same place, under the same conditions as the other person that hasn't got autism. It's just not going to work. So, I mean, you might need to sit in somewhere that's extra quiet, away from everything that's going off, or with dimmed lights, or you might need an extra hour or so to complete it because you get distracted easily. This needs to be put, they need to be aware of stuff like that, so that things can be put in place. Generally speaking, employers will think as well that they are implementing adjustments and, doing things that benefit the autistic person and the workforce, but really they're just implementing methods that would work for a neurotypical person, or they're still seeing it from their perspective, they're not seeing it from the autistic person's perspective. Another thing as well is the autistic employee may come across as rude, and interrupt conversations and stuff. I've actually done this a couple of times. I don't know if anybody's picked up on it, but I have done it a couple of times in my new job, because I've had something on my mind, and where I work it's quite fast paced, and you hardly get a time to sit down and just have a break, so you're just running around all the time. And there's been a couple of occasions where I have had stuff like that I need to ask people and just had to butt in, and I don't even know if that's rude or not, in that context, because things are so busy and things need to get done. I don't know if it's rude or not, but I don't know. I don't know anymore. But usually with neurotypical people, things can wait, and they can just keep it in till a more private and suitable time, whereas people with Asperger's usually, well, me anyway, I just need to get it off my chest and just sort it out in my head what needs to be done, get an answer there and then. Otherwise I just end up worrying about stuff all day. And that's not good for productivity, is it? Because then the autistic employee is worrying about things and not concentrating on what they're supposed to be doing. Another instance of that is being black and white with people. Like, I mean, I haven't done this because I've like learned now that I need to be more, you know, and I'm not a very judgmental person anyway, so I wouldn't say anything bitchy to people, but I am aware that some Aspies can say things that they're thinking that aren't really socially acceptable, but they'll not mean anything by it. It'll just come out. Like, do I look fat in this dress? Yeah, you do. Stuff like that. But, you know, if it was anybody else, a non-autistic person, then obviously that is rude. But that autistic person might not understand that it is rude. They were just saying what they thought. So it depends. So that's not all autistic people. That's just some. Somebody said to me, like, not long ago, once you've met one autistic person, you've only met one autistic person. It is different for everybody. Another issue is when an autistic employee is expected to get on with a minimal task, I'll start that again. Another issue is when an autistic employee is expected to get on with a task with minimal information, i.e. no experience navigating the company intranet, not knowing where the tools needed are, or being expected to go away training to a place that they've never been to before. And we are expected to use initiative. So clear instructions with details should be given. When people say use your initiative, I get a bit like offended by that, because like I have got initiative and academically I am clever and I am intelligent. I know that I'm intelligent, but when it comes to like social imagination and trying to fathom out what people want from me when they're giving me cryptic phrases and like half-cocked information and that doesn't make any sense, like, what do you want me to do? Do you know what I mean? Especially after you've explained it a million times as well, because a lot of the time with pretty much every job I've been in, I have had to explain my Asperger's and how it affects me and everything over and 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 over again, and I still don't get anywhere. For some reason it just doesn't go in. It's like I'm just having a laugh, and I'm not. Believe me, it's not funny. I don't find it funny. I'm not, I don't talk about Asperger's and stuff for the benefit of my health. Well, I do actually. That's such an overused phrase, that innit? But yeah, I mean, I do. I want people to understand it so that it makes life better and easier for everybody. Me, work, my friends, relationships, family. Like, without people knowing, then it does make things more difficult. But I think especially in the workplace, you really do have to reiterate things a lot, and it is exhausting. And I think the most difficult and most disappointing of these points is, even though it's a legal requirement as per the Equality Act 2010, that the employer should give reasonable adjustments for the autistic employee so that they'll not be disadvantaged, equal opportunities and all that. The autistic employee was given a job based on their skills and experience and qualities and everything, and their ability to do the job. Otherwise they wouldn't have been given the job. But then you know, when they start the job, they might need a filter on the computer screen because they might be sensitive to the screen light, the display light, or noise cancelling headphones, or a quiet desk, or structured shift patterns so that it's familiar and they know what they're doing every week, like I do. But we'll not go into that today. And many employers still to this day don't give autistic employees reasonable adjustments, which, I mean, it's essentially discrimination. And I mean, it's 2018, for God's sake, you know, I can't believe that I'm still talking about this stuff years after. Do you know what I mean? And it surprises me because, like, when you do tell people about your Asperger's and that, like, I don't know, when you meet new people and stuff, like, most people are just, like, interested in, like, oh yeah, or, you know, that, you know, the general, even though they probably don't understand it, and even though you'll probably have to explain yourself a million times, the general reaction is quite a positive one, quite a neutral one. But with employers, it's like, yeah, you can have Asperger's, but don't ask for reasonable adjustments because we ain't giving them you. And reasonable adjustments are put in place to benefit the autistic employee and also the business that employee is working for. Because if you think about it, if you have your reasonable adjustments, then you'll probably not be as stressed out at work. You're probably not as likely to have a meltdown at work. You're probably not going to have as much time off sick because you're not going to be stressed out and, you know, losing sleep over stuff and that. You're not going to have sensory issues as much, or, you know, well, you are, because, like, I have them all the time. I understand that it's all the time, but you know what I mean, like, when you get stressed out about stuff and that, it's, like, more heightened, isn't it? You're just going to have less problems, which is going to cause the business a lot less problems. And it's going to make you more productive, and you're going to be able to concentrate on your work more. So really, it's a win-win situation. But for some reason, a lot of employers these days do not want to do that, even though it's a legal requirement. And I mean, the funny thing is, I've known employees that I've worked with before in the same company that have got physical illnesses that get reasonable adjustments, which, you know, it just comes back to that that I thought we'd be over by now in 2018. Mental health is just as important. I'm not doing very good today, am I? As physical health, and it is. It really, really is. So yeah, but that being said, all those negative things out of the way, why should we employ autistic people? Because they're loyal, because they tell the truth, generally speaking, because they're hard workers, because when they apply themselves to something and are given the opportunity to do something, then they can fully immerse themselves in it and do a really, really good job, really thorough, really attention to detail. You know, and a lot of autistic people have a lot of empathy and a lot of you know, they care about people, so they're good at being care workers and support workers like I am. You know, some people might be very good with numbers and remembering things, so, you know, data processing and IT and stuff, and mathematics stuff that I'm shit at. There can be a lot of things that an autistic person can bring to a workplace that a neurotypical person can't, because our brains work completely differently, and we're really good at some things, but we need a little bit of help with other things. That is all it is. And everybody goes on about diversity and that. Well, this is part of diversity, inequality. So, yeah, but before I get too passionate about it, I hope this has been helpful, and maybe it's something that I need to go into in further detail, really, because work and employment is a massive part of everybody's lives. But for autistic people and Aspies, it's a very difficult thing, and I think we should make it a little bit less difficult, please. So until next time, thank you for watching. Bye.